This is a hard conversation to have. The amount of money that we just said, 300,000 to a lot of people, that would change their lives.
Yes.
So this is a difficult conversation to have without having some like prejudices built up.
Yeah. And I think that's maybe why people don't have this conversation with each other, because they're like, do we have the right to even say these things? Welcome to Money Dates, the podcast that makes money conversations with your partner feel a little less taboo. I'm Natalie Slagle, a certified financial planner, and I'm joined by my husband and business partner, Dan Slagle, also a certified financial planner. Say hi, Dan.
Hello.
In each episode, we'll share honest stories and practical tips to help you and your partner feel more connected and confident on your financial journey. So grab your drink, get comfortable, and join us for our Money Dates. Hi, Dan.
Hello, sweetheart.
Oh, what jacket is that?
It is a Paris Saint-Germain jacket. It is a French soccer team. I am wearing this because I bought it a few years ago. I thought it looked nice. I have some reluctancy to share that I'm wearing a PSG jacket just because it's not the main team I support. So let's move on.
Okay. So wait, I thought it was a basketball jacket. It's a soccer jacket?
No, so it can be both. Great observation. So it is, I don't know if we can go into like brand affiliation and things like that on a podcast, but it is one of the most famous basketball players. Most people view him as the GOAT, the greatest of all time. He is a sponsor of this soccer team.
Oh, MJ.
Yeah, let's leave it at that. Let's leave it at that until we know we can say these things.
Yeah. Today, we're going to just talk about numbers. We're going to talk about how much money we make. We're going to talk about what we do with it. And we're going to talk about, I know you pulled up some cool stats, because let's just put it out there. The numbers we talk about today, we know we are privileged. We know the clients that we work with are not like most people, right? So most of our households make above $300,000. And that's what we're going to talk about today, is why is it when you're a household making over $300,000, it can still feel tight? Like, why? Dan, do you want to first address that question?
It's just the world we live in. I don't know how to explain it. This is a hard conversation to have because, to your point, the amount of money that we just said, 300,000 to a lot of people, that would change their lives.
Yes.
So this is a difficult conversation to have without having some prejudices built up.
Yeah. And I think that's maybe why people don't have this conversation with each other, because they're like, do we have the right to even say these things? I think what motivated, first our clients, right? Our clients are like, I make all this money. I got this huge raise. I get all these RSUs. And yet I'm still feeling like I can't shop at the places I want to shop at, or go on the vacations I want to go, whatever. And then there was an article, and I don't know if you ever found that, but there was some article out there at one point that was why people making over, I think it was around 300, still feel like they're living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah, you sent me this article, if you recall. And a blurb from it is that a family of four would need a combined income of $300,000 a year to live comfortably middle-class life in big coastal cities. Caveat, big coastal cities like New York, San Francisco, Miami. This includes saving for retirement and owning a home. This was sourced from Sam, I'm going to butcher his name, Sam Dojan. He is the financial samurai. Side tangent, how cool of a name is that? I want that name. That is amazing.
That is amazing.
That is amazing. But I think, so then the article, so he's a blogger, right? So the article came from the Daily Mail, which I think is a British tabloid. So I'm not going to give too much into that.
Sure.
Right. But like, I don't know, British tabloids, they know wealth with like the prince and princess and king and queen. So maybe there's some validation here. But I think to like, in all seriousness, go back to your point. Obviously, there are many high cost of living areas in the US. And even when you hit a certain income threshold, like what we said, 300,000, it feels like all your money is going somewhere.
Yeah.
Right. And I think also we tend to focus a lot on the expenses. Like we're just assuming everything is spent. However, like from our clients' perspectives, not everything is always being spent. Right. That's why we always like to look at things like someone's pay statement and say, like, how much are they contributing to retirement? What are they paying for premiums, for medical, dental, vision? Are they taking advantage of like HSAs, FSAs? What's being withheld from taxes? So like money before it even hits your bank account is going somewhere. It's not just like all disappearing, right? But it can feel that way. It can feel that way.
Yeah. Like when our clients will get like a, $30,000 raise and you're like, wow, $30,000. And then it's like, oh, but that means you're getting an extra $700 a month. Like I just kind of made that up, but like it's crazy when you filter it through a paycheck, how much goes to all those things. And a lot of those things are very important, right? Like,
yeah,
you got to save for retirement, or no one else is going to save for your retirement except for you. So that's important. You got to tax it. Like it's important things, but they're big things. So I want to go back to the thing you were talking about with like the coastal cities and like you need $300,000 to be middle class. And did you look this up? And if you didn't, I would still like your thoughts on this. Like, what is middle class?
I don't know offhand. It feels like how I grew up, which 300,000 with my lifestyle growing up seems over the top.
Meaning you think 300,000 in today's dollars like is more than the household income you grew up in those dollars back then.
Yeah, maybe. I would have to take out my calculator and find out, but I'm not going to do that right now. I think there was a report of like distribution of US income that came out in 2024, but it was reflecting 2023.
Okay.
And it was like this really nice pie chart of income distribution, like, and what percentage of households in the US fall under like different income amounts. You following?
Yes.
So income that we're referring to, 300,000, household income of $200,000 or more represented 14.5% of households in the US.
Okay, so 14.5% of households in the US made over $200,000.
Yeah.
And so 86% made less than 200,000.
Yeah, but it's like the scale gets even more tipped when you start looking at 75,000 or lower. It was like high 40s. And it like breaks it out into like still income brackets, but like in summary, like high 40 percentile of household income was less than 75,000.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what makes having this conversation difficult.
Yeah.
Is like knowing that we're coming from a place of privilege relative to, at least from like the number standpoint, right? Of like how relative the distribution works.
Yeah. To like the people that we live in this city with, right? Like I'm going to go on this side tangent. We'll see if it makes the cut. But today I was dropping Jay, our daughter, off at daycare. And I love her teacher. She's so great. And she was talking to me about gardening and these tips. She had gardening tips for me. And she said once a week, her husband sits outside and he digs out the coffee of all of their Keurig coffee cups, because they do the Keurigs, just the individual. They waste less coffee by doing the individual Keurigs. And they dig out the coffee grounds and they use that for their garden. They also use their banana peels. So she was like, hey, make sure you're keeping your coffee grounds and make sure you do your banana peels and put it in the garden. And you and I, Dan, have a garden now this year. So you know what I did this morning? Remember, I was like, hey, I have this banana peel. Don't throw it away.
Yeah. And you were like, hey, I'm going to leave it at the top of the stairs. And I'm like,
well, I was
go
eating it upstairs.
You were eating it upstairs and you're going to just leave it on like the banister right by the railing to go downstairs.
Correct.
I'm like, just bring the dang banana peel to the kitchen.
No.
Anyways, go back to your story.
So it was just really important. I was like, I want to put my banana peel in the ground. And so I did that. And I was just thinking,
I feel like that's the sound like, sorry, I don't mean to be rude.
Yeah, I feel like that's to tell this story.
I know, but I feel like if I could cue in some
Donkey Kong?
It was like some Mario Kart music.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways. So I'm putting this banana peel in the ground. And I'm like, this is cool. Like I just ate a banana. And usually I would compost and I throw it in our compost bin. And I'm still composting it, but like directly, like we're going to benefit from this one banana peel. And I was just like, I did it and I felt really good about it. And I was thinking that Jay's teacher, she probably has all these really cool things like saving her banana peels or digging her coffee grounds out of the Keurig cups to be so resourceful. So she doesn't have to like spend extra money. And I'm like, do you get to a point where you're making over, in your example, over 75,000 or something that you just tend to rely on the fact that you make money, that you can just go spend it? That thought just came to me. I'm like, wow, Jay's teacher is so resourceful. I don't know if I'm as resourceful as she is. And I wonder if it's because of our income discrepancies.
Yeah, but you don't know that. You don't know that for sure. You don't know her situation.
I don't. And we know that in the position we're in professionally, that you may think you know someone's financial situation and you have no idea. Have no idea one way or the other.
Yeah, so you have no idea.
That's true.
You have no idea what she makes. Now, to go back to the resourcefulness, maybe she's just more resourceful and maybe she is more sustainable.
I bet she is. I bet she is all those things.
And maybe she's learned through experience. Like this is one of your first times actually having a garden from seed.
Yeah.
And maybe she does it every year. And maybe she's been doing it for the last 30 years and has learned.
Right. And learn like the best way to do it is to use your own coffee grounds and stick banana peels in the garden. We will see. We will see what, I mean, our garden is already rocking and rolling. I'm proud of that.
Yeah,
Anyways,
for sure.
Let's get back to the topic.
Yeah, side tangent. I'm the side tangent police right now. That was good side tangent, but I feel like we need to get back to like the grist of the conversation.
Grist. I like that. Did you make that word up or is that a word?
It's real. It's real.
Okay. It's a real word. Great. Do you want to take us back?
Yeah, let's tie it back to what you were just talking about. Okay. So I feel like there's a point when regardless, okay, so we already talked about like before money even hits your bank account, it's going places potentially, set up for savings, taxes, premiums, things like that, right? So your money is being allocated elsewhere. And I think what happens when you start to have a higher income, if you don't have more purpose with your money or like intentionality with your money, you're going to spend it. So then what will help clients with is like, okay, let's identify a few areas that are important to you, like reflects your values, prioritize importance level from a financial standpoint, like building up your bank savings, investing, paying for education, whatever it may be, right? Or like saving for a future home, whatever it may be. And then we start putting parameters in place of like, hey, so-and-so, or even for us, like if we have a goal to buy a home next year and we have some extra cash laying around because we have a higher income, I'm using this as a hypothetical, of course. Let's direct $500 to $1,000 every month. Just automate it to go to your brokerage account or your bank saving, your high yield savings account. Even if you do that, it feels like your money is not there because it's going to all these different avenues. And I think there's some mental hurdle or load of now my money is being redirected in other places. And I know it's a good thing to do, but I'm not spending it. And like from a day-to-day perspective, things feel tight.
Oh, I see what you're saying. It's like you do all these great things to benefit your finances. And we kind of talked about this in our last episode. Like we have these different accounts and different allocations, and we try to make it so that like we have our spending parameter and everything else has its purpose. And it's going to the brokerage account, it's going to the travel account, whatever it may be. But with like having all that, those parameters and those side shoots, it's like, it can feel limiting.
Yeah, for sure. And I was thinking about this last year. Like at this time last year, our daughter was not born.
Mm-hmm.
And we were able to get some things to get ready for her, right? Like furnish a place, start working on her room, all these everything diaper. Like that's what we spent money on basically.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But it still felt like we had additional income outside of what we were automatically saving, like to go spend and still be comfortable. And then I fast forward a year and I'm like, oh, things kind of feel tight. But like professionally, things are better than where they were last year. Personally, I feel like I don't spend as much money, but then I think about it and I look at like our budget cash flow worksheet, and daycare is not cheap. It's a little over $2,100 a month
Mm-hmm.
for us for 5 days a week. That's a lot of money that could have been used for spending or saving, but I don't regret it at all because I have some independence back, and I think it's a really good opportunity for our daughter to meet friends and like experience the world. And her teachers are amazing. Like the average daycare cost in the US is kind of crazy. From like we could go all the way up from a monthly standpoint. So there was a report done by, I think it was care.com in like 2025, so earlier this year, and it talked about how the average weekly nanny cost per month is like $3,300 a month. Average weekly daycare or monthly daycare cost is like a little under $1,400 a month. And it goes like down and down of like family care center, babysitter. Like the costs are like the babysitter, like average weekly babysitter cost is like $180. Our babysitter asked us for like $10 an hour the other night. I'm like,
well, and we told her like, we were like, we are paying you more than $10 an hour. Like that makes me nervous to pay someone only $10 an hour to watch my pure joy of life. So if average daycare is $1,400 a month, you said that's like
close.
Is that
close.
in-home or facility, or did it break that out?
I'm assuming that's a facility.
Okay. So that's like 16, 17 grand a year. And then if the average household, or one of the household figures we were talking about, making 75,000, didn't you say that? Like a large portion of the US makes 75,000. That's 22%. I was just like doing the math over here. That's 22% of your household income. You know, we spend $2,150. We spend 8% of our gross household income. That, I feel like we spend so much money, like from a dollar perspective. What is that? 2,150 times 12 is, I'm laughing because my calculator is being mad at me. $25,800 net.
Wait, sorry, I'm so sorry. You need to repeat that because I got distracted by your calculator is laughing at you, which I just like.
It literally like gave me a message like, you cannot do that. I never have gotten a message from a computer calculator that talked to me. And it literally had a message across the number screen that said like, you can't do that. Anyways, so we spend $2,150 net, right? So we have to make more than that to net $2,150 a month. So we spend $25,800 a year on childcare. And that feels like...
That's like when we do like a college education analysis for clients, we use like the average in-state, like our programs, like average in-state tuition calculator. And I think in present day, it's like almost $29,000. Like it's like a $4,000 difference. Like that's crazy.
Yeah. Like we could just send Jay to college right now. Like we could afford to pay, which we're at the same time, we're spending all this money on daycare. You and I are also putting money in her 529 plan.
Yeah, for sure. I would just love to see her here in college right now. She'd do so great.
Oh my gosh, she would be crazy, crazy, crazy girl in the best way. No, I was thinking about that. I like had this like weird frustration the other day of like, man, we're working really hard. Our business is doing great. We're making more money. But as you know, we give ourselves this like spending parameter. It's outside of our bills. So outside of daycare and stuff like that. but like our spending when it comes to like groceries, clothes, restaurants, all of those things. And it's like that parameter has not changed for like 3 years.
Yeah, like you haven't given yourself even like a cost of living adjustment to your spending.
Well, we did a little, like a tiny bit, but anyways. But I'm like, oh, you know where it's going now that we didn't have before is daycare.
Yeah.
And I bet we have to make 33 to 35,000 gross for daycare to like pay for daycare. And so someone who's at the $75,000 income, their tax brackets are lower, blah, blah, blah. So their answer is different. We're in a higher tax bracket. I mean, none of this matters. What matters is like daycare is really expensive. And then just like with most things, when you make more money, life is kind of presented in a way of like everyone's kind of at an even spot. And that's not true. And I know there's subsidies or additional help that you can get if you need it for daycare. I guess my point is like daycare is really expensive, but it's only 8% of our gross pay compared to others where it's 30% or 20%. It's just wild. So let's go back to the whole discussion of households making 300,000 or more.
Yep.
And it still feels tight. Obviously, like daycare is really near and dear to our heart, which is why we talk about that, because that was a new expense starting January of this year for us. The other, another big expense is housing, right? Like, housing is so expensive.
Well, it's so expensive. I mean, just the housing market in general with interest rates, like there's the whole idea or concept of like when you and I bought our first home in 2016, our monthly mortgage was like $1,500. And I look at that,
why did we get rid of that?
I don't know. You can't even get a studio for that anymore. Like,
no,
which is insane. It was like a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home. It was like a great starter home.
It was a good starter home.
Yeah. And like, could you imagine right now, like if your mortgage was $1,500, like, and if you somewhat liked your house, why would you leave?
Right. I mean, now it's easy to look back and see that figure, and I think this happens with a lot of our clients. A lot of our clients are shifting from that first time home purchase because our clients are in their 30s and 40s. They're making over 300,000. They're just ready to upgrade.
For sure.
And a lot of people are like, wow, I missed that 2.75% interest rate, or the houses are so much more expensive and the interest rates are more, and it's hefty.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for us, we've been talking about like our tangents with daycare, right? And daycare was a huge shock to us, to like our monthly spend. And it's no different than even if you didn't have a child and you were to like switch into a new home where your mortgage was, let's say $2,000 and now it's $5,000 a month. That's an additional $3,000 in monthly spend. Like it's a huge shock to the system. And then it's just like I think you become a little more aware of what's going on from a day-to-day standpoint, right? And then like kind of focus, like things just feel tight. And I don't know how to avoid that because life happens. Expenses come up. Like what are we going to, like, we don't have family where we are. So what are we going to do? Like there's no other alternative to daycare.
No. Yeah. And like sometimes I'm not convinced that it's daycare that makes things feel tight for us, because I look at some of our clients who don't have kids and like things feel tight for them too. Like you find reason, so like I'm looking at our numbers here and we save about 14%, at least this year, we'll save about 14% of our income, 10% to retirement, 4% to our brokerage. Do you feel good about that?
I don't feel bad about it.
Great.
I mean, the other thing is we're in the camp of being self-employed, right? So even if there's additional money or resources available, I think it comes down to like, do we benefit from it personally or do we put it back into the business, right? So I think that's a harder question to ask me.
Yeah.
It's something that I personally struggle with. So to go back to your original question, like, do I think that's good? Yeah, I do think that's good.
Mm-hmm.
I do, right? Like if what do we tell clients? Like 15 to 20% is kind of the target if possible.
Well, I always say 10% is the minimum. You got to save 10% of your income.
Yeah.
15% is really good. 20% is, whoa. You're like, are you trying to retire early? Like, what's going on? You're doing amazing. That's kind of my spiel on it. Sure. Obviously, it depends on where you're at from the starting point.
Yeah. So we throw out all these metrics for clients. And if we find ourselves personally in one of the like bands of you're doing great, then yeah, we should also reward ourselves. You know?
You're kind of hitting on the whole, like me not giving us credit for where we should. And what else? What else do you want to talk about with this?
I don't know if I have like takeaways could be, not every episode needs to have takeaways, and it doesn't need to be a thing, right? But like, give yourself some grace. Like life is not cheap right now, regardless of the income level you sit at. Like your spend kind of creeps up or might inch up to match income closely, but give yourself some grace. I think now is just a difficult time in general with just like a lot of change going on, a lot of unknowns, uncertainty. So, and we tell our clients this all the time, like when you're in your 30s and 40s, like you're going through a lot of major life events, a lot of major life transitions, whether it's like buying a home, selling your home, buying a new home, added new mortgage payment, or like having a kid and it's like added daycare payment, moving across the country, changing jobs, right? So like there's so many of these like big things that are happening. And just know, like if you're covering your basis, if you're doing the minimum amount of saving, if you're at least like managing your spend to be somewhat like consistent, like you're doing a good job. Like there's still so much time left. If you're in your 30s and 40s for like the rest of your, maybe the next 70 years, potentially, if not longer. I don't know what science is going to look like in the future, but like there's still a lot of time to adapt, and like income will continue to rise. And hope for us, going back to the daycare reference, it's like Jay's in daycare until 5. Yeah. So then we don't have another child, which I don't know if we will or not, but it's like, then that comes back into your pocket. And then you can make decisions then with what to do with it if you were feeling behind for the last 5 years.
Yeah, I appreciate that. We're just in a really expensive time in our life. And I'm saying we're as in like me and you, Dan, like we have a child in daycare, and maybe we need to chat about this. Like, are we having more kids or not? But like that.
We should do that live on a podcast episode.
Oh, on the
Just
decision
kidding, no.
of if we're not going to. I was like, I'm totally game. Let's do that. Okay, fine. Well, you know what? I wanted to have a safe space for us and then for others of like, I know you make a lot of money and it's okay that things can still feel tight.
Yeah.
Things can still feel tight. All right. See you next time.
All right. Thanks. Hey, if you've enjoyed this episode and are looking for personalized financial guidance, schedule a free complimentary consultation using the link in the description below. Natalie and Dan Slagle are the founding partners of Fuse Financial Planning, a registered investment advisor. The information provided in this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered investment advice or a recommendation to buy or sell any securities. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Advisory services are offered to clients or prospective clients where Fuse Financial Planning and its representatives are properly licensed or exempt from licensure. For more information, including our disclosures, please visit our website at www.fusefinancial.com.